Welcome back. So for today's deep dive, we're tackling, well, a really huge and kind of messy question. It comes from this powerful address given by Pastor Darren at the House Church down in Mountain Grove, Missouri. And the core question is, how can you really truly know you are loved, especially when life just feels devastating?
Right. And what's striking about this source material, this testimony, is that it doesn't lean on, abstract theology. Instead, Pastor Darren gives this raw, very real-life account, stories of some pretty big personal failures, hardships, all to make the case that this divine love, it's totally constant. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are or, frankly, how badly you mess up.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that because that's a big claim. So the central argument seems to push back hard against that common but frankly terrible idea that when bad things happen, it must mean we somehow failed or, made God mad.
Exactly. Instead, the argument is, look, we live in an imperfect world. Stuff happens. But love isn't something that just vanishes when things get tough. Actually, the claim is it's most present right there, in the middle of the suffering.
Okay, so how does he support that? What's the evidence?
Well, he jumps right in with a personal story. Being a really passionate teenager in church,
Yeah,
but then feeling like persecuted by a church leader.
right. Church hurt. That's unfortunately common.
But it went deep. The hurt turned into this consuming anger. He actually admits he was plotting revenge, even thinking about taking the man's life. Really dark stuff.
Wow. Okay, so where's the love in that?
Well, the key takeaway he presents is this ability he found for cognitive separation. Even in that really extreme anger and disillusionment, he says he knew the love was still there. He somehow managed to separate the failures of people, imperfect people, from the core belief system that God is God, people are people idea.
That's a powerful distinction, separating the institution or the people in it from the core idea itself. But okay, that's external hurt. What about when the failure feels entirely internal, like it's your fault?
Yeah, he goes there too. The testimony then shifts into a period of recklessness, running hard away from faith, dealing with addiction. He mentions drinking heavily, waking up sick, in his own vomit, just feeling completely trapped by his own choices.
Feeling of being stuck, yeah. So what's the realization there?
It flips the script, really. We often think we need to clean ourselves up before we can ask for help, right? But his realization was the opposite. The love was just waiting.
Yeah.
All I had to do was call out. No cleanup required first.
Okay, so from external hurt to internal failure to, well, deep internal pain. He talks about depression too, right?
Yes, a really severe period, a year-long depression where he was, and this is his quote, pleading, take my life.
That's the toughest sell, isn't it? How do you square that abstract idea of unconditional love with that raw feeling of total hopelessness, even abandonment?
He's honest about it. He says relying on feeling loved was impossible then. You just don't feel it. So the only anchor, he argues, is knowing it. Intellectually, holding on to the idea that the love is there, waiting, even in that dark pit, even when feelings say otherwise.
Knowing versus feeling, that's critical.
And to really hammer home this idea of unwavering protective love, he brings in examples of external physical danger. He mentions facing death twice in the hospital. Serious stuff.
Yeah.
But the most dramatic story involves a man who was literally coming to kill him.
Seriously, what happened?
On the way to do it, the man crashes his four-wheeler, ends up in the hospital himself. And this leads to this unbelievable moment of reconciliation between them, right there in the hospital.
Okay, but it's easy to hear that and think, well, coincidence, maybe luck. How does he frame it so it's not just chance?
That's where he connects these sort of impossible moments back to the theology. He cites Romans 8.15. It talks about receiving the spirit of adoption. And the point is, you're not like a fearful slave constantly trying to earn approval. You're a child. You can call out Abba, Father, which is this really intimate term, right? It signifies unconditional belonging. The love is the foundation you stand on, not some reward you earn or lose.
That idea of belonging directly counters that feeling of abandonment and depression he talked about. It's about your fundamental identity.
Exactly. And then he brings it all together with Ephesians 3, verses 16 to 19.
What's the core message there?
It's essentially a prayer. For inner strength, yes, but also for the capacity to grasp just how wide, how long, how high, and how deep this love is. It affirms that the love is just too vast. It can't be conditional on our behavior or our circumstances or our feelings. It's a scale that just exceeds our capacity for failure, our worst choices, our deepest depressions.
So wrapping this up, the deep dive seems to confirm the mission. This source argues powerfully that love isn't conditional, not on behavior, not on circumstance, not even on whether we can feel it in the moment. It's presented as the bedrock.
Yeah. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you, the listener. If Ephesians is right, if the depth of this love really is too great to understand fully, then what part of your own story, that messy part, that complicated bit, that failure, that dark pit, what part were you still refusing to let that limitless, already present love touch?